because it's easy. Like you said a minute ago, before we were live, you said, there's no editing. It
Yeah.
just goes up on
Yeah.
all platforms. You're done.
Yeah. And you can move on with your life as opposed to you videotape a bunch of stuff and then you have this thing hanging over you like, ugh, I gotta edit. I've got to edit this. I hate
Yeah,
that feeling.
exactly.
And
So
then
you
you
got
don't
Jack.
want to do it. All of the excitement of making it is over. Now it's the drudgery of having to edit the thing.
Oh my God, I like that shirt. I've
Okay.
never seen you in plaid.
Yeah, I bought a bunch of plaid at Bass Pro because I needed
Right.
conceal shirts. All my old shirts were too tight,
Yeah,
and
try camouflage.
I couldn't conceal any.
That'll conceal everything.
I couldn't conceal anything. So I'm like, oh, okay. I'm gonna have to get some shirt. I used to wear plaid when I was a kid.
Right.
Like you could see. Remember those old
When
school
that
pictures
truck
mom
drove
had of
around
us?
and we took pictures in that truck with
No, not
Uncle?
that one. No, but
Oh, okay.
when we were in school, the school pictures,
Right.
I had a red turtleneck in one of
I
them,
remember,
and then
yeah.
I had a plaid shirt. It was like yellowish,
Right.
and yeah, so I used to wear plaids more in the '60s. It was more in the '60s.
And it was big in the 60s, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I like plaid. I think plaid looks good. So, but
And
I was just out, and I didn't have time to.
it also works with many different colors. So
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah.
So you got Jack on the Go, Cooking with Jack, food news, restaurant news. We're doing two F as in Frank's.
A week.
And Eye to Eye, the faith-based
What the hell's
channel.
that?
Faith-based channel. So, like, for
Oh,
example,
okay. That's why I don't know it.
I don't know if you know this story, but the first episode we ever did, so we do Bible questions.
Mhm.
Why did this happen in the Bible? Why did they
Mhm.
say that? So, like, for example, last week, the king ordered, we were talking about the king ordering the messenger to kill him.
To kill who?
Don't kill the messenger. You know that phrase?
Yeah, I know that phrase, but what?
Okay. The king was injured, didn't want to be caught by the enemy.
Okay.
Said, put me out of my misery. Ordered some guy.
A messenger to kill the king.
Yes.
The king ordered the messenger to kill the king. Got it.
He said, I'm partially wounded already. Finish me off.
Right.
So he did.
Mhm.
Then he ran to David, who wasn't king yet.
Yeah.
He ran to David and told him, King Saul, I murdered King Saul. And David killed the messenger.
Right.
And since I've ever been reading the Bible, that always bothered me. I thought, wait, if you don't do what the king orders, you get killed.
Right. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we talked about that.
That's funny.
And somebody brought up some good points.
Right.
That I didn't even think of. And then we did like...
Here's my thing. If the king told me to kill him, first I'd think of how can I not kill him? If I can't get out of it, then what are you going to do? You have to kill him. So you kill the king, and then you don't tell anyone. You don't tell anyone. You say, oh, the king, I found him dead. Isn't exactly lying.
It still ends the same way.
No.
He's dead.
Right. But the thing is, the messenger would have survived had he not said that he was the cause of the king's death. Okay. Also, did he tell David that that the king ordered him to kill him, and that's why he did? Did he even say that?
He did tell him.
He told him.
Yes, but the reason he was killed was, I think, for a completely different reason. So when God said, like, I'm going to kill all the Canaanites. Okay, I want you to slaughter the whole town. Mm-hmm. Women, children, burn the animals, everything. Mm-hmm. You killed everything. Mm-hmm. So David found out, this is what I was told. David found out the messenger was an Amalekite. That's it, Amalekite.
Okay.
And God had already said all the Amalekites need to be destroyed before the messenger showed up. So
yeah, but see the way the story is told,
I know
seems like you're a backdoor kind of explanation,
right? But he thought, you know what? It could have been because he was from one of the Amalekites.
Man, that sounds like someone stretching it. Sorry.
They made a point in the Bible.
Still not believing it. That's a stretch.
He
If you
asked him
saw that shit in the
twice.
movie, dude, I don't care. If you saw that shit in the movie and you saw this guy, the king tells the messenger, and the messenger goes, tells this other guy, right? And he kills him. Why? What would you
It
say?
still
Forget all
bothers
the Bible
me.
shit. Forget
All
all the
right,
Bible shit. Just think, if you're
I get
watching
it.
it in the movie, you're going to be like, that's why it bothered you, because it seemed like it was a consequence, a direct consequence of the message he delivered.
All I saw was he was obedient. He got
Right.
killed for being obedient.
Yep. Yep.
That's not a good message.
No,
Yeah.
it's not a good message. No pun intended.
No, I know.
That was a good
So
messenger, but not a good message.
so week 1 was Noah raped? There was the story where
Oh,
him
yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Was he raped?
Yes, of
No.
course he was. He didn't give
We
consent.
we talked about it
He
and
didn't
we
give consent.
decided
I don't care you talked about it. He didn't give
hold
consent.
on. Hold on. No, didn't sleep with Noah. He slept with his nakedness back then in biblical times was the wife, the stepmom, who was in the tent with him.
All right.
So he raped the stepmom. Noah come out and said, I know what you did to me. Everybody said you saw my nakedness, which back then, that term in biblical times, not now, is your wife or was your one of the way it
All right.
was
Well, then,
used.
okay. I would want to go back to the original
Language,
Hebrew
right.
and go,
No,
all
I
right, what
totally
did it
get it.
mean back then? Back then.
There are such great questions, aren't they?
Like back then, back then. Yeah.
I always thought Noah was raped. I always thought.
Yeah.
Because he said, I know what you did to me.
Right.
He
You saw
didn't
my,
say,
well, look, you saw my nakedness doesn't say you raped me. It just shows I saw you naked.
wait.
That's all that says to
Then
me.
he cursed Ham's son and 4 generations. Really? Because you saw my wanger?
Well, maybe it's really small.
Maybe he took a picture on his iPhone. I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
right?
and he
All right.
posted about it.
We should talk about the actual subject, don't you
All right.
think?
Yeah. So, all right. I think we may talk about a few different things. I don't know.
And more. And that's the and more.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
That's why I
we
put it
already
there.
did the
So,
more. We should
yeah.
talk about autism now.
So let me set up what happened. So I heard a report that autistic cases used to be 1 in 10,000,
Yep. I've heard that too.
and RFK told Trump that it's now as low as 1 in 31. I'm thinking, wow, that's like day and night. Why? So RFK is claiming he's gonna, I don't believe this, but RFK is claiming he's gonna let us know what's causing it.
Mhm.
Not a problem. So I put on the internet, hey guys, these are the numbers. What do you think might be the cause? Okay. I thought energy drinks. I was trying to think, what's the latest new dangerous thing? I had a stroke from energy drinks. So I went there. I thought it was energy drinks because there's stuff in the formula that's not good. It's like cousin of methamphetamines. So, and when I was in the ER, the doctor said, I get 1 stroke a week from those energy drinks, but nobody ever tells anybody.
Mhm.
It never gets reported.
Mhm.
So now go to the public. There are a few people defending. So, like, one group of people have special needs kids and said, no, this is, those numbers aren't right. And I have no idea how they know. But
Look, when you
they,
have wait, they have skin in the game, which means they're emotional about the issue,
that exactly.
which means they're not thinking clearly because they're being emotional about it.
No,
So
I get it.
that I dismiss those comments.
Special needs parents.
Yeah,
Right.
because they're emotional about it. I would be too.
Okay,
I would be.
let's go with anti-Trumpers, okay? We call them that because they always argue the other side.
Okay.
They said, "Oh, it's because we have better testing today." So we've always had that many cases at that number, but now we're able to identify more.
Okay.
Which
Wait,
Right.
that seems that could be plausible. Could be. I'm not saying it is, but it is a possibility. There's also the possibility, which I'm sure they didn't think of overdiagnosis.
Thank you.
And
That's a
that's
bigger possibility.
right, and that's because there's money to be made for every case that you have. So
Right.
you overdiagnose it, and now you can medicate it, and you can make money off
I
of it.
can believe that more than
That
anything
is
else.
more likely what's going on. We have way more cases than are actual, and we are clumping what we're clumping into the category of autism things that aren't, that are maybe on the periphery. Because here's the thing, when you only have a hammer, the whole world looks like a nail. If you got autism
That's
drug
right.
and you want to sell that puppy, everybody's got autism now,
Right.
right? It's all about money. It's always about money.
Okay, so my question to you is, um, let's say we find out it is something that's in the food. Something. I don't know what. I don't know what food. What's the first thing you would go to and say it's probably this?
Okay, so I don't have a thing. I don't think it's energy drinks. I would say that because children don't drink energy drinks,
No,
and
no, no, the
children,
parents. It infects
I
it
don't, yeah, I
infected.
don't know. That's even more less likely, that
Oh,
because they
dude, they
drank,
did cocaine in the '80s. We all
because,
turned out screwed
but
up.
yeah, but they
The
drank,
next
I
generation.
sorry. I think that's too removed.
So
So
you
what I
don't
think
think it's in the food?
no, what I think hold on, let me explain. What I think it is epigenetic. Okay. And I don't know what I'm talking about here, but this is my guess. Okay.
Right.
So if I had to guess, someone held a gun to my head and said, do your best guess. My best guess would be it's something epigenetic. So that it's a combination of genes and environment. Okay. So epigenetics is that you have the gene, but it doesn't manifest itself until it comes into contact with something in your environment. Okay.
Wait, it
So
has something to do with DNA though, right?
yeah, it's genetics.
Okay.
Genetics is DNA, okay?
I
But it's
didn't know
not
what
like you
else
have
was
some
involved.
so it's not like you have a gene and it's instantly you have autism. I
Right,
believe it's you have the genes, right? And then you are exposed within your environment to these toxins or whatever, right? That
right,
triggers your genes to actually start to express themselves. So I think it's gonna be something in our food
right.
system. It could be fluoride in the
That
water,
triggers the
whatever.
gene.
I mean, it's gonna be something we're ingesting. Okay.
So we're guessing, by the way, everybody.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
We're not
Clearly
doing
we don't
fact.
know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, if I had to make my best guess, it'd be epigenetics, along with environmental, and it's something in our that we're ingesting. So
Some
that would be my guess.
somebody told me today you can have like adult onset autism.
Which tells me that it's not that it is that.
You
So
can get it. You can
no, no,
catch
no, 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 no,
autism.
no, 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 no. So think about it. If it's epigenetic, okay,
Right,
you have the gene, but you don't come in contact within your environment, you're fine. You're fine.
right.
It doesn't start to express itself until you come
Until
into
the
contact with
triggers.
them. Right. That's what epigenetics is.
So, and that's why later on in life you can have adult onset
Absolutely.
autism.
100%.
Could
And
you
that's
imagine?
why that's why my guess still makes sense, right? It's just a guess. I don't really study autism. I don't think about autism. I just no. I don't know.
Well, our church does stuff for the special
Yeah,
kids.
yeah. Oh no, I know,
Yeah.
but not every special needs kid is autistic. They could have
No, they're totally
others.
different. They're
Yeah.
totally
Yeah,
wide
they could have
spectrum
Down
of kids.
syndrome, there could be lots of different
Yeah,
needs.
exactly.
Right, and so, I don't
It
know, I find people who are autistic, fascinating because they're so really smart on things, and
and
I
they're more loving than regular
no,
kids.
no, you're thinking, Down syndrome are. Down syndrome people are.
That's
That autistic people don't wanna be touched, they don't wanna be hugged,
right.
they wanna be left
No,
alone.
you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
So there was a Claire Danes movie, I can't remember the name of it, where she did she played the woman who came up with that device for cattle.
right.
That's a great movie, by the way.
Oh,
That's an
no, I don't know what you're talking
absolutely
about.
good movie. Oh man, that's such a good movie.
What's the name of the movie?
I just told you I didn't know the name of the movie. Weren't you listening?
Well, thank you for sharing that with everybody, but not telling
Look
them.
it up at ChatGPT. Claire Danes
You look it up. You got the computer
autistic
in front of you?
movie. Jesus, dude. What, I got to do everything for you?
Jesus, happy Easter.
Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah, Claire Danes
What's
cattle.
the Claire Danes movie where she plays an autistic woman?
You're probably thinking of Temple Grandin. Claire Danes plays Temple Grandin, a woman with autism who became a renowned animal behavior expert. The movie was released in 2010 and received a lot of praise for her performance.
Temple
It's a
what?
great movie. It's an absolutely great movie.
One more time. Say the name.
Oh,
Temple.
son of a bitch, dude. I just closed my phone.
Temple. No. Was it Temple Granite?
Not Granite.
I can't hear.
Grandin.
Damn it.
Temple Grandin.
Okay.
Grandin.
Temple Grandin.
Yes. She
All right.
plays.
So
Okay. So here I
I'll
have the
look it up.
text. Claire Danes plays Temple Grandin, a woman with autism who became a renowned animal behavior expert. The movie was released in 2010 and received a lot of praise for her performance. It
Let
was
me
great.
type this for everybody. Hold on.
It was so good.
Temple.
Yeah.
Is it Brandon or Grandin?
Grand. The word
G-R-A.
grand with the word in right after it.
Okay. I
Good
think that's it.
God, dude, can you imagine spelling that over the phone? Grandin, Grandy, Grandu,
Oh my
what?
gosh.
Like we thought our name was hard.
It should pop up. If not, I'll post it again.
Yeah.
All
Anyway,
right.
so it's a
Go ahead.
great movie, and I find people who are on the spectrum very interesting because they're out there. I'm probably somewhere on the spectrum. I don't even know where. I don't even think about it. I'm like, don't worry about
No,
it.
I'm just well, that's an 80s joke. I don't know if I can use that word anymore.
Oh, you're just retarded?
Yeah,
That
I'm
word?
just retarded.
Yeah.
But literally, yeah, they're very interesting.
Yeah,
I
right?
love talking with them.
Yep.
They see the world
In a
completely
totally
different.
different way. Yeah, that's exciting to
Totally.
me. That's exciting to me.
It
So,
challenges me to
and you
talk with
see
them.
this movie, if I had a kid who was autistic and you see this movie, you see such hope for people who don't fit in well. And it's like, oh, this is a great movie. Yeah, I can't recommend it enough.
Could you imagine though if we could cure autism for some reason?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean these people aren't still going to be
They're
smart.
incredible. No,
Yes.
they're incredibly
Yes,
right.
exactly. They're just the downsides of autism that you want to
Right.
go away, right?
Wow.
So anyway, I believe I don't know if they're gonna. So I'm a little worried that if they announce it, that we're wrong,
It's
that
gonna
it's
be a
gonna take.
mass panic over nothing.
Well, not just that. We've already had those before,
Right.
climate change. So, but I'm worried that it'll take another 20 years before we get the real answer. So you don't want to come out with the answer and be
Well,
wrong.
oh, come on. How about cancer? How about we come out with any answer?
We already know. I already know how to avoid cancer. I've already told you a million times.
I know.
But people don't want to
Scientifically,
do it. People don't want to do it. People don't want to believe it. So they don't, and
yeah,
that's why people get cancer.
I hear you. So, yeah, so we should find out, he said, hopefully by around September this year.
Yeah, I
So,
worry. I worry that they're going to come out. Let's just say there's two possibilities. They come out with it, and well, they don't come out with it, okay? And they don't. So that's one possibility. Second possibility is they come out with it and they announce it's because the sky's blue, which is wrong. Okay. And now for
right.
20, 30 years, people are going to believe till people die off that
I
it's
know.
because the
I'd
sky's
rather
blue.
them not come out with it and be
And be
positive than they
right.
did.
Yeah. And then, or they come out with it and it's right. And then we work to eliminate that from our food system, whatever that is.
Okay, now I want to talk about something interesting.
Well,
What
that
I've
wasn't
noticed
interesting.
No, that was very interesting.
Okay.
But I have noticed over time, people are showing hate to RFK Jr. like they do to Elon and Trump.
Look,
They literally have
these are just the
redirected.
sheep. They're the sheep. Okay.
I know.
They're just the sheep. They are told what to think. They don't pay attention to what's actually going on. They
Right,
don't go out of their way to learn anything. They just sit in front of CNN or whatever their media of choices.
right,
They're told and here's the thing, they trust them. That's the thing. They've already given all of their trust to these people. And these people have been lying to them forever. And then they forget when they lie. They forget. That's the beauty of That's the beauty of propaganda. Okay.
Right.
You could say that the sky is falling, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. And then when it doesn't fall, no one talks about it because there's a new boogeyman to worry about, right? We were all supposed to be dead from cancer because of the hole in the ozone layer. And then you go, oh, I guess we solved that, right? No, there's still a hole in the ozone, dude. It hasn't changed.
Still there.
Still there. We aren't dead. Like all the doom and gloom, no, everyone forgot. Why? Well, because we had a new thing to worry about. So as soon as the old thing is starting to, show signs of wear, and that people are going to realize and discover this is all bullshit, they give you a new thing to worry about. Okay. Climate change, however, I got to
Did you
give
see
them
that video
credit.
I sent you?
Yes, I got to give them credit that they've, for whatever reason, they've been able to keep up climate change for the longest lie of my life, right?
I know.
And
my whole life they've been complaining.
yeah, and I'm not saying that the hole in the ozone wasn't something that we should have been concerned about. I mean, if CFCs are eroding it away, but I'm not saying that, or I'm not saying that polluting our environment isn't a bad thing. It is a bad thing.
Right. Totally.
Well, I'm just saying, look, at the point that we're at this point in my life, I've been hearing about it since like the 80s, the late 80s. I've been hearing about this. And
You said it best.
haven't. Most people. Go ahead.
You said it best.
What did I say?
When you told me humans give themselves too much credit that they can affect the way the Earth's going to go.
Right.
You said it best. Yep. I'm like, wow, he's totally right.
And here's the interesting thing, right? So in the 80s, I remember watching a Nova episode, okay? In the 80s, they were talking about this theory called the Gaia theory, I think it was called. And Gaia is supposed to be the god of Mother Earth or something like that. And so that's why they named it that theory. And this scientist was talking on Nova in the 80s about how as CO2 goes up, plant life will increase and it will help balance out the CO2. The increase in CO2, right? Totally. And there were higher levels of CO2 back in the day, the dinosaur time too. And we had much more plant life. Well, it turns out that today we have increased plant life because we have increased our CO2 slightly from, decades ago. So, so what does that tell you? That tells you that the best way to scrub CO2 out of the atmosphere is plants, right? I mean, that's the whole way the ecosystem works. Instead, people are trying to build plants, man-made plant that's supposed to scrub. So we use all this energy to remove the CO2 that we put in the atmosphere to generate energy. Like, what are you doing?
It's kind of like electric vehicle BS.
It's not like that.
Making the batteries.
No, it's not like that. You're not making it any better. You're not making it any better. Yeah. Or you're going, oh, well, that battery is a different thing. But you're not making it better. You're going to burn energy putting CO2 in the atmosphere so you can take CO2 out of the atmosphere. What are you doing? We should change how we farm.
Right.
That's the first thing you would do. No one wants to talk about that. No one wants to talk about regenerative farming. Okay.
Yeah. Can you explain that to anybody who doesn't know?
Regenerative farming is basically a carbon sink. Okay, so you change the way you're farming into be where you can, it's called regenerative because it can regenerate the land. So you can have desert-like land, and if you can put ruminant animals on that land, they can bring back the land, and they'll get grasses, and you'll go from a sterile piece of land into one that's teeming with life and is biodiverse. People love to talk about biodiverse.
Do you know places that do that?
Wait, let me finish. People know about they know about biodiverse. They're like, oh, biodiverse, that's a good thing, right? Yet every farm that grows crops is exactly the opposite of biodiversity. Okay. And the problem is they have to kill everything so corn can grow. They have to kill everything so that soy can grow. So you have a monocrop. Okay. And you've killed everything on that land, animals as well as plants. Okay. So like I always laugh at the vegans because they're like, oh yeah, I eat crop. They have no idea how their food is made because there are more animals killed per pound of protein, plant protein, than animal protein. So what you have is you've eliminated all the biodiversity for miles and miles around you, in huge sections of the world, in the United States in particular, I'm thinking. And regenerative farming really kind of brings that back. So what they do is they move their animals in a way that simulates how
They do that out here. They rotate.
right.
Yeah.
They move the animals, that they call them paddocks, they break
The
their
big
land up.
square areas. Yep.
Yes, into paddocks, and then they move them, and they don't keep them in any one place for too long. They don't overgraze them because the land and the plants can't recover. But in the natural times, when you had these massive herds, they were always moving. They were constantly moving. So yes, it might be a couple days of being eaten and stomped on, but then you'd be weeks and weeks and weeks with nothing. And so the plants could grow back and recover from that.
Right.
So we need to go back to something like that. And it does create a carbon sink. And what that means is it basically pulls carbon from the atmosphere and puts it into the ground. When you have lack of biodiversity and lack of plant life, you can't pull the carbon out. There's nothing. Dirt doesn't pull carbon out of the atmosphere. But when you kill all the plants and you do monocropping, you're not going to get the same natural scrubbing of the air. So
And if you guys remember, people who know about the Bible, they would tell you to rest the land. They would say only so many years, then rest it for a year.
Yeah.
Then come back to it. There was some intelligence behind that.
Well, we had to relearn that in the 30s after the Dust Bowl to do what they called crop rotation, right? So that you didn't destroy the topsoil. We only have topsoil today because of oil. That's the other thing that drives me crazy. You get all these stop oil now people, and they want to stop oil now, right? Dude, you wouldn't be able to have your carrots if it wasn't for oil, because oil is petroleum products produces fertilizer. So petroleum products are in your clothing, right? You have polyester in your clothes, dude, while you're blocking traffic. Yeah. You're using oil, right? You used oil to get here because you didn't walk, right? To your protest. You drove your car to the protest.
Stop it. That makes too much sense.
And then your food, right? All these crops and all that you eat we're only able to grow it because we're taking oil and pouring it into the ground, essentially, right? To produce fertilizer. So you're basically eating oil. So, I don't want to hear these people. The problem is the educational system, right? There's no benefit to those in power to have the peasantry knowledgeable. Okay. We're the peasantry. Okay. They're the elites. So the more we know, the more dangerous we are to them, right? Because we're not going to be just sheep and follow whatever they say and do what and act like we're supposed to act.
Some people
think
might.
like we're supposed to think. That's it. So now I'm starting to sound like George Carlin, right? And when I was a kid, I used to listen to him and laugh.
He's much funnier than you, by the way.
Oh, way more funny. But the thing is he would say shit like, and I thought, oh man, he's just an angry old man, right? No. You live long enough, you learn.
They say that about you. That's a compliment now, huh?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You're an angry old man.
There's a reason you get to that point in your life where you're like, I don't give a fuck what people think, and I'm going to say what I think. And you kind of look, and you've seen these patterns over and over again of how people get bullshitted, right?
Right.
And you get tired of the bullshit, and so after a while, since you don't care what people think, right? As you get older, you start speaking to truth. And George Carlin was that. I mean, he definitely.
If you've never seen George Carlin, go watch his stand-up.
His older stuff.
He's so funny.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, his all stuff was great, but if you go back to like the 60s when he was doing stand up in the 60s, he was doing your standard, stand up kind of stuff.
Right.
But then he started breaking off into more becoming awake, as to what's going on in the world.
He would
And
speak the truth.
he speak truth, right? And so he would, then towards the very end, he was like, like way out there as far as like anger and calling bullshit and stuff like that. And looking back, he was way, way, way ahead of his time.
Oh yeah, and
He
we
was
didn't realize that till we got older.
no. And you get there and you're like, oh, now this all makes sense.
Yeah, didn't George Carlin talk about that? When it
Right.
comes true.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I have one more
So I'm going to
question.
start praying to Joe Pesci. So
Why?
that's
Why?
that's a George Carlin joke.
Oh,
He
okay.
doesn't. What was his thing about? He talked about the sun. I worship the sun. He goes, because it keeps me warm and it grows the crops and everything. He goes, but I don't pray to the sun. He goes, I pray to Joe Pesci because Joe Pesci's the kind of guy who can get things done.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have one more question while we talk today.
Okay.
You had mentioned the education system, and let me just give you the whole story. Basically, I know 3 people that, and I'm anti-education universe. Like, not
Wait. What do you mean education universe?
University, I mean.
Oh.
University level,
Mm-hmm.
I'm totally against it. I think you go out in the field and you learn what you want to do from people who are already on.
Well, I would say that if I'm going to be operated by a doctor, I'd like to have at least gone to a university. But I'm with you for 80 to 90% of people who go to university.
Yeah, pull all the doctors and lawyers out and everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
So I know 3 people that have literally for 10 years lied about having a bachelor's degree on their resume.
Oh yeah, I know.
About it.
I may know one of those people.
Yeah, and not one person
ever checked,
ever asked, "Hey, can you bring that degree in and so we can take a look at it?"
Yeah,
we're interested in working with you. Every job they applied for required it. They lied about it. Said, "Oh yeah," they made up a fake school, and not once in 10 years have they been asked to show it.
Yeah. Yep. So so my story is, I always love to tell people this. I didn't graduate high school. And people go, what? How could you? Right? Well, I didn't technically graduate high school. I tested out of high school and got a high school equivalency in the 11th grade. And then I went to college when I was 16, and I dropped out of college by the time I was like almost 19. And then I started writing software at 19. So that was my path. And for me, I didn't need it. I never needed it. I literally dropped out of college because I could learn computer programming faster than they could teach it to me. And I'm like, what am I doing? When the instructor asks me if the thing on the board was right, that's a problem. So I'm like, I'm out of here. I was poor, right? We grew up poor. So I had no money. I was still living at home. I was driving the car that my parents gave me.
Is that the Oldsmobile?
Oh, that piece of shit. But look, it was better than me riding my bicycle.
So ugly, dude.
That was better than me riding my bicycle.
I'd rather have Jim's Dodge Dart.
Well, yeah. But anyway, so so that was my path, right? Now, for my daughter, I spent $150,000 to send her to school. And she took philosophy and psychology and was minoring in technology. Okay. So she had a double major and minored in technology. And I told her to not minor in technology because that school couldn't teach the technology to save her life. And I didn't want it to turn her off from technology. So when she came home in the summer, I taught her programming. And she now is a professional programmer. She's been doing it for almost 10 years.
You literally, I remember, you would be on the phone with her at the university, teaching her what her teacher never taught her.
I told her, I said, look, I saw the work and I'm like, God, where'd you get this? And she goes, well, the teacher wrote this. I'm like, oh my God, I'd fire this guy if someone wrote code like this. I go, right. I go, who teaches the next class? She goes, well, this guy. All right. And then the one after that, I think this guy. I'm like, all right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to help you get through this course so you doesn't ruin your GPA. Okay. I'm just going to help you get through it.
that. Yeah.
And I said, you're not going to take another computer class there ever again. And what you're going to do is, when you come home in the summer, I'm going to teach you. And
after paying $150,000
yeah,
for that education.
well, yeah. But I mean, you go to college for more than I could afford it. Okay. It's funny. My tax guy is like, why don't you send her to a 2-year college and then have her transfer and blah, 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 blah. And I said to him, why? He goes, well, you'll save a lot of money. And I go, but what will I have? I'll have money. That's it. I go, what am I going to do with that money? Buy things I don't need? I go, this extra money, right? Or things that, mildly might improve my life. I said, look,
Right.
I have an opportunity to give my daughter the experience of a lifetime. You can never go back. There's at one point in your life where you can go and be off in college and grow up. Okay. I go, that experience is invaluable to me for me to be able to give her that.
She did get street smarts from being in college.
You just get confidence, right? You get confidence because you're out there alone. It's somewhat protective because you're on campus, right? And you get an opportunity to get confidence as an adult, as opposed to staying home and then leaving.
Would you do it again? Would you do it again if you knew?
No, I wouldn't.
That says it all, dude.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do it again because I feel like until they stop trying to indoctrinate. Like if I would do it today, would I go back in time and do it when they weren't trying to indoctrinate people to be socialists?
Right.
Yeah, I would do it again going back in time. But today I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, today all they want to do is protest.
Well, all they want to do is produce socialists.
Yeah. How about you learn something?
That's what the fascists did in Italy in the 1920s, and they invaded the institutions. So yeah, she told me that it was starting to happen at the end when she was in school.
It wasn't as bad as it is today.
Yeah. And I think the tide is turning. So maybe in another 10 years, it won't be as bad as it is. I'm glad that Trump
everything goes around.
Yeah, I'm glad that Trump is pulling them up. Like, why is my tax dollars going to Harvard? Honestly,
right?
$2 billion. They've got huge trusts that they have billions and billions of dollars, and then they still need money from the taxpayer. Why am I paying for that shit?
Yeah.
Why? Why are you taking money?
They charge enough to go there.
Right. Why are you taking money from me for Harvard? Here's the other problem, the Harvard health studies and all that shit, that's all bought and paid for, dude.
Yeah,
all bought and paid for.
Exactly.
All by the big food companies.
I believe Harvard was partially involved with the COVID scandal bullshit.
I don't know, but it's all like everybody's, everyone's in it for the graft, dude. They're all in it for the money. So yeah, fuck Harvard. They can burn to the ground for all I care. I don't want them getting another dime of my money, even if it's only a dime.
That's so funny you said that, because these imaginary schools that gave out those bachelor degrees, they happen to burn to the ground.
Right? They have to, dude. They have to burn to the ground. Otherwise,
they use schools that have already burned down.
Yeah. Oh,
that was kind of smart.
That's like all my guns. I lost all my guns in a boating accident.
That's too funny. All right. So, I think that was fun covering a few topics.
Okay. Do you want to look at the chat and see if there's any questions?
Let's go to the chat.
All right.
Let's see what everybody's blabbing about. And I'm sure everybody's talking about Jimmy again. Let's see. James, what 16 is it? No. Happy Easter. Happy Easter to you too. If I must boast, I will boast some things. No. Looking for some sounds woke. Charles
questions.
Did. She end up having a lot of boyfriends.
Who?
Your daughter.
Right. Oh, she had one.
Right.
And
did they get married? That one?
Yeah, and she's married to him now. Yeah, that was it. One.
Did they meet us in the school?
Yep, they sure did. They were friends for a really long time, and towards the end, they became boyfriend girlfriend. Then they did a remote relationship for a little bit, and then they got married. He came out here, and then now they're in Oregon.
Jack, can we hear about your DJ days? I'll talk more when Charles is not here. we'll go more into the ups and the downs. There are more ups and downs of being a disc jockey. Whether
Okay,
it was
but there's
nightclubs,
different DJs, right? There's different DJing experiences. There's the club DJing,
right?
and then there's radio DJing. Very different.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. And the
yeah,
clubs are more fun. But
sure.
anyway, that's beside the point. The radio in the middle of the night was boring. But anyway, let's see. Happy. All right. Proverbs. Got it. Do you agree with sensuality out of wedlock? All right. Well, nothing really directed towards what we said. Trump correctly defunded all research. Not sure what she's referring to. Janet, what you refer to? Let me see what else was written.
So okay, so somebody wrote something from the book of Jude. I
Yeah.
love these. Oh, you got
Oh,
it?
no.
These are
Sorry, go ahead.
no, no, it's
That was
good. Put it up there. Put it up there.
that was an accident. That wasn't it.
Well, yes, it was.
Oh, it
You
was?
accidentally hit the right
I
one.
actually hit the book of Jude.
Yeah.
I can't find it now.
Oh, you idiot. All right.
Uh,
These are grumblers, malcontents, following their own sinful desires. They are loudmouth boasters showing favoritism to gain advantage. I'm like, man, people haven't changed.
wait, are they describing us?
No, just people in general. I don't know who they're
Yeah,
describing,
I
but
know.
man, people haven't changed.
That's funny. Oh, here we go. Universities need. Let me pop this up for you. All right. Universities need your tax dollars so the unqualified can attend for free, and also the universities can skim profits from using. Okay, you guys can smell the sarcasm.
No, but yes, I agree with
Yes,
this. Yes,
that is exactly true,
right.
and that's why they all need to lose their funding.
Look, the unqualified. So here's the thing about people who are unqualified, right? So there's two types of unqualified, right? There are people who didn't get opportunity, right? Because they were poor and they went to bad schools. Okay. And then there are people who don't even try. I don't give a fuck about those people, right? Those people, you didn't try, you don't get. Sorry, that's how the world works. That's the universe that we live in. I didn't make the rules. But that's the way it is. The people who didn't get an opportunity, I want my tax dollars going to the schools, not universities. Like, we should make sure that people who want to better themselves can better themselves. So if there's the problem with taxes, property taxes going to schools, is that in the good neighborhoods you have good schools, in the bad neighborhoods you have bad schools because there's not enough money in those neighborhoods. I think that's a travesty. I think that goes all the way back to the days of before civil rights. And I think that we should change that and distribute the money equally so that everybody has a similar opportunity. And when you do that, then the unworthy are the ones that should only be, I mean, theory, should only be the people who didn't work hard, and not the people who just happen to be born poor.
Just to be clear, everybody who's watching, Charles and I both are for helping out. Always. The programs just aren't being done properly. The money's not going to the people that need the help, truthfully. It's going to the greedy, skim off the top kind of people. So we're okay with food stamps and food programs and scholarships and everything. It
For
should
those
go to,
who need it and those who earn it, right?
yeah,
If you need it and like we did, mom couldn't work. She was in a hospital bed for 2 years. Remember?
yep.
She had that back brace. She couldn't even sit hardly. We were kids. We were little. So yeah, I'm all for that. I never complained about that. The people who've earned it, people who've worked hard, right? In their schools and who have potential. Yeah. And they just don't have the money. It's crazy. Colleges shouldn't be that expensive. Number one. Number two, we shouldn't expect everyone to go to college. Number three, we shouldn't have disparaged the trades. The trades, there are plumbers making way more money
Totally.
than people in offices sometimes. I mean, electricians, plumbers, people who work in construction, these people are skilled craftsmen. And
Contractors, yeah.
yeah, and we've had a lot of work done in our house. Every time we bring someone in, I have nothing but respect. I'm like, wow, This
And
is these
most of
people are
them,
great at this.
honestly, most of them didn't go to school for it. They learned with hands-on. They interned.
Right,
They
but
started
we
young.
discourage people from going into the trades, and we push them to go into college over the last, what, 20, 25 years.
Wait, who pushes them?
Well,
It's the people who make money off it.
right, the school, look,
Yeah.
school begets school. Let's put it that way.
It's true. So realize not everybody needs to go to school. You can learn a trade from a trade school on hand as an apprentice. You can,
But we
there's
don't
many
in
ways.
society, we stop valuing two things that we grew up with. Housewives, women who stay home and take care of their family and there's nothing more important than that. So that's one thing we
It's a
devalue.
huge job, by the way. We all agree.
Right. And so we devalued that, and we devalued anyone who works with their hands, right? Because we were just outsourcing the shit out of that, right? And so we're just going to have a bunch of office workers and people who serve you. That to me is a travesty, and we need to get back to valuing both of those skills.
I think you agree with this person.
I don't donate chairs unless I know precisely what happens. Yeah, so I've long since stopped giving to charities, because here was my thing. Okay, we should do a charity thing. Here's my thing. Okay, charities, right? What charity do we know of that sprung up to solve a problem, collected a bunch of money, solved the problem, and then shut their doors because the problem was done and solved?
Name one.
Not
Just
one. Not one. Not even the March of fucking Dimes, dude. Not one.
Not even Jerry. Come on, Jerry.
No. Yeah, like
the money or the
Sam
cure.
Kinison, right? I want the money or the cure. Like seriously, it becomes its own thing. It stays in existence for its own purpose.
How about the breast cancer? We've been trying to look for that for like
Dude, I've been wearing pink every time, and they still haven't solved it. I don't know. All my pink outfits just aren't doing it. I don't know what's wrong.
Pinked out, and they keep taking your money. They never come up with anything. Not even like, hey, we're halfway there.
Yeah.
Hey, we can partially fend it off.
No, they can look.
Nothing.
Okay, treatment has come a long way. It really has. It's come a long way. But sorry, there's a very simple solution to cancer, and no one, like I said, no one wants to do it. So okay, then you get your cancer.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on another video. But in the meantime, let's wrap it up.
All right.
Some good stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was fun. All right, say goodbye.
All right, bye. Talk to you later, man.
Take care, you guys. Bye.
Bye.